Hey, this is Jeff Rose. Welcome to GoodFinancialSense.com. Are you wondering about how much you're going to need when you retire? It's a common question that a lot of people have, young and old. And a lot of questions that I get is, what is the amount of income that I'm going to need in retirement? Or how do I figure out what my retirement income needs are going to be? And it's a tough question. I get that asked to me over and over again. And the hard thing about that question is that it all depends. There's not a straightforward answer to give some general rule of thumb to some magic number that you need. It all depends on your unique situation. And that's what makes financial planning an ongoing thing, to where it's not just a one-time quick snapshot scenario and be like, okay, bam, it's time, this is how much money you're going to need. So here's a couple of the different things that you need to consider when you're trying to figure out what are your retirement income needs going to be. First and foremost, you have to figure out what are your needs, meaning how much you need each month to pay the bills, how much you need to take care of your health insurance, or if you still have a house payment, if you still have debt, if you want to do vacations. It all comes down to trying to identify that. And that's tough for a lot of people because a lot of us do not budget. A lot of us don't have a good sense of knowing exactly where our money is going each month. And if you don't have a good handle, a good grasp on those type of things, that whole trying to identify your income need is, how do you do it? It's difficult. It's almost impossible. You can try to shoot from the hip, which a lot of my clients try to do. But I make them literally go home, sit down, and start looking at where all their money is going per month, and what are their needs. What are the things that they have to have each month to get by. And without doing that inventory, without doing that research into their own lives, it makes it tremendously difficult to try to figure out what the retirement income needs are going to be. And that's the first step. I assure you, this is probably the hardest because a lot of people just don't do it. They just don't take the time to figure that out. So that's the first step you got to do. The second step, you have to figure out what you've got to work with. And what I mean by that are, what are the tools that you have? How much have you saved? How much do you have in your 401k? How close are you towards receiving Social Security? Do you have any pensions? And those type things. All those factors come into play when trying to identify what your retirement income needs are going to be. For example, I've got clients that when they actually go back and figure out what their income need is, as far as paying the monthly bills and having a little extra to play and do the things that they want to do. So that gives us a sense of where we need to be. And then we take a look at what they've got. So have they retired early? I've got some clients that retire 55, 58, 60. So there's a little bit more pressure on their retirement assets, their 401ks, their pensions, to be able to get them that retirement income. We don't have Social Security to lean on. So that requires a little bit more pressure. I've got other clients that retire after Social Security age. Some take early retirement at 62, some continue to work till they're 65. So when we have that extra paycheck coming in per month, that gives us a little more freedom, flexibility to try to decipher what the extra incomes might be. So those, and that's why it's so tough. I mean, it's not a clear-cut answer. You hear a lot of general rule of thumbs where you need 70 to 80% of your current income in your working years as a rule of thumb of how much you're going to need in your retirement years. And sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not. Going back to the income needs, we're trying to identify, what about health insurance? Is that something that you're going to have, or are you already on Medicare, so it's not that much of an issue? So there's a lot of factors like that comes into play. And then the other thing is just being realistic as far as your spending expectations. And I have some clients that they come to me and we do all this planning to where, okay, we've got everything lined up, we identified their needs, we have all their retirement information together, so we identified how much they're going to be drawing out per month. And then a few months into it, they get a little spendthrift and they start wanting to buy things, buy toys, do this, take trips. And all of a sudden they're causing a strain on their retirement portfolio. So we have to have a meeting, a come to Jesus meeting, and be like, hey, I go, this was the plan when we first started, Now, why are we deviating? Why are we all of a sudden buying things that initially weren't on our plan? So you just have to be very conscious of that. And I don't want my clients to think they can't spend their money. You know, it is their money. They worked their whole life to have that. But you have to be careful. You have to be cautious and just be very aware of how much you're spending and how fast you're spending it. So that's some of the other things that you kind of have to do a self-evaluation of yourself and just know your habits, know how things may be as soon as retirement comes. Kind of going back to that rule of thumb as far as the 70 to 80%, typically what I've seen is this. In the first couple years of retirement, it's kind of like, it's like the kid who has been stuck in class all day long, and it's sunny outside. They've been looking at the playground. They can see the sun. They see the jungle gyms. They're ready to be set loose, and they want to go play and be free. And a lot of my retiree clients, that's what it's kind of like is. Once they hit retirement, they're kind of like that kid that's been set free. They're out on recess. They get to play, get to do these things they've been waiting to do for so long. So now that they're ready to go, they're ready to play and have fun. So those first couple years, they'll spend a little bit more doing the trips that they want to do, buying the toys that they've put off, for so many years. So now they feel like they're entitled to do that. And they are, so let them do it. But then as they get older, as maybe health conditions just don't allow them to do the travel as they did when they first retired, they'll tend to spend a lot less than they were in their first years. So whereas the first couple years maybe you do fall in that rule of thumb of spending the 70 to 80% of your working year's income, but after a certain point you don't travel enough, or you don't travel as much because they've kind of done everything they wanted to do, and they're just content on staying around the home, spending time with the grandkids, and just doing a lot of staycations where they just kind of just stay at home and just enjoy that time with their family. So those are some of the observations I've seen when it comes to trying to identify what your retirement income needs are going to be. As you can see, it's not a clear-cut answer. You can go many different directions, and it varies in each person. So those are some of the steps that you need to do in the beginning as far as, number one, identify what you're actually going to need per month to live off of, to spend on, to do the things that you have to do just to get by. Then second, you're going to need to identify what you've got to work with, with your 401k and your savings and pensions, and when Social Security is going to play in. And then finally, you just got to know yourself and know your spending habits and how that's going to affect your income in retirement years. So if you've got any more questions, you know where to find me, goodfinancialsense.com. I got, as you know, tons of more information, a lot more videos to come. So if you got any more questions, please feel free to hit me up. I'm here for you.